Dear ones, you can still smell them in certain cases. Are you aware of that? There is something there. Sometimes he'll feel his father in the room saying, "Good job, my son." Now that could be in the imagination, but it isn't. The souls of those parents have been with him in some form, sharing his experience, looking at him, helping him, loving him. I speak right now to those of you who have lost children. There is a grieving time. And when that is appropriately passed, there's still memories and tears. But what if I told you those children have an agreement to be with you all of your life? To love you as a soul-sharing child who has come and said, "I am with you till the end. Mom, Dad, I know what happened, but I'm still here. I'm still here in the purest form to hold your hand, hug you at night, help you to remember we're all in this together, this thing called the shift, called the world, called life." The love doesn't stop. What a system. The love doesn't stop. We've even told you this is true with your pets who you've lost and the animals you've lost. We told you this years ago, that they want to continue the love affair, but instead of sharing your soul, they come back. They show themselves, asking you to find them and continue the love affair. That's the power of love. Oh, can it really get any better than that? The systems put in place by the Creator, whose essence is love, those systems feature love. They don't feature punishment. They feature love. And there are so many aspects of this to lift you up when you're not feeling like you could be lifted. To take you out of depression when you don't think you can. To give you hope when nobody's around and you think you're alone. Because nobody told you this is the truth. And that all you have to do to feel it is acknowledge. Start talking to them, perhaps. See what happens. When you start having dialogues with those you've loved and lost, and you start understanding it's more than just psychology, that there is something more at the cellular level that's going on. They're still here. And to make this even better, when you look at those around you who you love, all of them, that you're invested in emotionally and love, all of them, you can look them in the eye and say, "I'm not leaving you. Physically, perhaps, but I'll be there all the time. Looking at you, loving you like I always have, and being a partner of a different kind. A partner that loves you, ready to help you, and sometimes you'll be able to hear me and feel me." That is the system in place. You're staying with those you love. And they will do the same. This is a little reported system that comes with those who can understand more than they did before. As that which is the consciousness of humanity starts to raise, become more enlightened, and we can teach these more, I would say, advanced ideas about who you are when you're here, when you're not here, when you're gone, and a system that is beautiful beyond words, that rings with the love of God. A system created for you so you'll never be alone or have a reason to be sorrowful. There's so much more here. Dear ones, I am in love with all of you. And so it is.
And we'll just allow a little more time to make that transition between the beautiful energies from Kryon to becoming a little more aware of our 3D reality, our physical body. So if you've had your eyes closed, I invite you to open your eyes, bring your awareness back into your body, back into the room. And we're going to have a beautiful conversation, I know already, with a woman who is so used to being in both realities at the same time. Her name is Cynthia Sue Larson, and I want to just make sure Cynthia's on the Zoom feed with us. Cynthia, are you there?
I'm here. Hello, Monica. Hello, Lee.
Oh, wonderful. Well, the reason I say Cynthia is so used to being in both realities is because of all the amazing things that have unfolded, which we're going to share for you right now.
I know Cynthia. Cynthia has a degree in physics from UC Berkeley. Now, that's what I remember the most. That's pretty impressive. An MBA degree, a Doctor of Divinity, and a second degree black belt in Kuksul Won. Kuksul Won. It's a type of Korean martial arts. Just be careful when you're around her. Okay, so she is the best-selling author of several books, including Quantum Jumps, Reality Shifts, and High Energy Money.
Now, Cynthia is the founder of Reality Shifters. I love that title, Reality Shifters. She's also the president of the International Mandala Effect Conference. She's the managing director of Foundations of Mind and the creator and host of Living the Quantum Dream. She's been featured in numerous shows, including Gaia, the History Channel, Coast to Coast AM, One World with Deepak Chopra, and BBC. So Cynthia reminds us to ask in every situation, how good can it get?
Absolutely. Yeah, I love to stay positive and optimistic, and it seems to be a powerful director in terms of just going constantly onward and upward, regardless how things may appear.
I always ask the same question, especially I went to that, degree in physics right away. How does it happen? It's such a 3D study, even though there's quantum physics and all, but we think of it as pretty straightforward 3D stuff. How do you get from there to where you are now?
Right. Well, basically what happened is I started witnessing reality shifts. I had a whole lot of what people might call mystical or paranormal experiences, and they intensified to the point that I couldn't ignore them in about 1994 when I had this Kundalini awakening, and I felt energy just rushing through my body. I was there's too much to even describe in the short time we have here of what happened. It was so intense, so mind-blowing, and it literally broke through all of my presumptions and assumptions about the nature of reality and who I am and who all of us are. So after that happened, and my world felt like it fell apart, and it only went on intensively for about 2 weeks. After that, then it took me a good many years to sort of recalibrate everything and recognize, okay, I need to start sharing some of what I'm noticing and observing with people who are also witnessing reality shifts where things appear, disappear, transform, transport. Basically, it feels like what you remember is very different from what's apparently supposedly always been true. We also now call that the Mandela effect when groups of people notice that.
I love to hear more about the Mandela effect, for sure.
Yeah, that's huge. And it's really taking off since it became such a buzzword in 2009, 2010. And then just about around 2016 or 17, it's catching fire worldwide. So what I mean by that is every country, every nation has some of their very own Mandela effects where people typically supposedly, quote unquote, misremember things. Actually, what we're presenting and proposing instead is it looks like what they're doing is not so much misremembering things, but tapping into an awareness of another possible reality where the kidneys used to be in such a low place on our body that we called it a kidney punch. And if you were struck there, you could be seriously wounded or injured, might even die. And now the kidneys are not located where most of us, if we were asked, put your hands right over your kidneys, protect your kidneys, we would put our hands on our lower backs. But now that's no longer where the kidneys are. They've moved to the relative safety up under the rib cage a little bit more.
So one of the things that I sometimes hear people say is that we are living parallel lives, if you like, or sometimes we're living in a simulation and we're not really here, we're in a simulation. I want to ask that question of you because you're specializing in shifting realities. If you can talk to us about the living in a simulation experience.
Yes. Well, some people call it a simulation, and sometimes that brings up images of some youngster operating some computer keyboard somewhere. And that's not quite my view of simulation. So it is like a simulation, but it's also like a dream, like a waking dream. Mm-hmm. And for me, what it really feels like is that it's essentially who we really are is not confined to space and time. Just like the meditation, I could feel coming out of that was powerful. And when people go through that kind of an experience, they're experiencing being their true self, which is greater than the confines of space and time. Space and time is not quite real. And we know that from our top visual experts. I was just talking with Dr. Donald Hoffman 2 days ago, and that was part of our discussion for International Mandela Effect Conference. We had him talking about the simulation theory and his idea of a virtual experience and the way all of our senses operate. And that to me feels a lot more real.
I love that you mentioned the energies you feel of coming out of the meditation and channel, because often what can happen, particularly when we would have live audiences, you can have a room full of people listen to a Kryon channel. One will be healed and the other will just think this is fake and what Lee is doing is nonsense and don't feel anything. So we have two people in the exact same environment having two different experiences. And I would love to hear your explanation as to what you think is going on.
Can I just add to that before you go there, is that this closely resembles a very famous physics experiment with two observers seeing something completely different. So make that part of that. I think people would love to hear that.
Let's do it. Yes, that's where my mind was going too, Lisa. Thank you. And I love the question, Monica. Yes, so two people can be side by side witnessing completely different things. And it's not so much what some of us might presume to be true, which is someone's not paying attention, because we are seeing from experiments that were conducted in 2019 and reported to the world. There was a collaboration between physicists working at the University of Edinburgh, Scotland, with physicists working in Vienna, Austria. And what they were doing is a configuration of the double slit experiment, which, as most people know who are studying such things, it's all about the observer effect, noticing that where an observational device is situated in the experiment, that will absolutely interfere or definitely it'll contribute to what is next observed. Let's put it that way. And how and why it does that is open to all sorts of interpretations of quantum theory. But the important fact is that in this recent experiment, two observational devices were at the same place at the same time, and they totally observed two different things. And so when you can get those sorts of results in a physics experiment, then I think all of us should start looking at what's happening when the person next to us says nothing happened, or they might even be witnessing events and describing it to a police officer or a court of law, and they absolutely did witness two different things.
Wow.
That is completely fascinating to me.
Okay, now here's another one, just because we have just come back from, it was a month ago and a week or so, from Navajo and Hopi area. I was privileged to channel at the base of the Hopi Prophecy Rock. So tell me what you think the significance of that is to what's going on now.
That is so close to my heart. I would say I can hardly believe you just said that, but you're Lee Carroll, so. Wow. Okay. Well, to me, that Prophecy Rock is deeply sacred, and it just it's beyond words, really. And the wisdom that's been carried forth from this message that's inscribed, I might start crying. I'm just feeling it so emotionally. Choked up a bit. Yeah. What if people don't know what that looks like? There are representations they can look at, a picture. Most people are not so fortunate. I don't think I've ever